Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me much pleasure to be here again. As the Permanent Secretary said, there's another saying regarding speeches: he who speaks the last needs to speak the shortest. Because everybody, all the people with great wisdom have already spoken before me. But it seems like only yesterday that I was here when we gave out the certificates for the first phase of this course. And I just glanced through, as I was walking past the doors and coming up, I just glanced and had a look at the finished products. They're very, very different to what you had in the first phase, obviously. And it's a remarkable achievement. I was very concerned when this was being put around my neck that I put on too much weight, it might not fit around my neck. But this is a fantastic example of what can be achieved with a little bit of training, with a little bit of effort, with a little bit of energy and coordination. This is a coordination between the Ministry of Women's Affairs, coordination between the trainers, the Bar Town Council, the Women's Forum, and of course the wonderful trainers that we have locally, including Mr. Nair, who is here, and also between the Ministry of Industry and Trade and the private sector. Last time when we were here, we had some representatives of some of the chain stores like Tapu's, etc., who are going to sell your products. So what can be achieved by a very small country, by a very small town, is always beyond the size of those two organizations or two entities. Please remember one thing, that we may be a small country, you may come from a small town called Ba, but we can achieve so much more. That's a very fundamental belief and a positive attitude we must all have as Fijians, wherever we live in Fiji, that we can achieve much more than what we have achieved so far. And we are already seeing that. That's already translating on the ground. Economically, the country is doing really well. We have growth rates of 3.8%. That is a lot more than what they're having in Australia and New Zealand. Just a few weeks ago, when we had the first ever Fijian Tourism Expo, for the first time, it's actually quite sad, but it is also an achievement, that for the first time we had an area dedicated to handicraft at a tourism expo that showcased handicraft made in Fiji, predominantly by women. Mr. Nair was there too. He was the exception. A couple other people exceptions. But predominantly we had women, and for a country that has 33% of its GDP, in other words 33% of our income comes from tourism, and to not have this showcase is a great tragedy. But that is now being fixed. Because when a tourist comes to Fiji, we want him or her to spend their money as much as possible in Fiji, but as much as possible with Fijian people. Let me give you an example. At the moment, our Prime Minister is in the West Indies. In some of the countries in the West Indies, when a tourist spends their dollar, for every dollar that's spent in that country, only 1 cent stays in that country. Only 1 cent. In some of those countries, only 2 cents. In other words, nearly everything that is sold in that country, nearly everything that is made in that country, nearly everything that is eaten by the tourists, all comes from outside. So obviously that money will go outside. Even the airlines aren't owned by those countries. In Fiji at the moment, we have what we call a retention rate. Approximately, different institutions have different measurements, but approximately in Fiji, about 60 cents in a dollar stays in Fiji. We obviously want to increase that, because we want tourists to buy authentic Fijian handicraft. We don't want stuff that's made in overseas countries being sold in Fiji, and the tourists buy that as Fijian products. In the same way as we are working with the hotels, as we are encouraging the agricultural sector, that the tourists must eat the lettuce that's grown in Fiji. They must eat the beans, they must eat the cassava. For example, now Fiji Airways, when they go on the plane, you know, before they used to give you potato chips. Now they give you cassava chips. That's Fijian cassava made in a factory in Fiji, and that's given to them. if any of you are traveling very soon, when you go away overseas and you come back to Fiji, you will see that in every flight we show a video that talks about authentic Fijian handicraft. And it promotes and it tells the tourists to buy authentic Fijian handicraft. So that's how we are working together with the ministry, together with the private sector. In the same way we are talking to the private sector that they must use authentic Fijian handicraft and showcase and display handicraft. So I want to thank you actually, because you have in fact helped us to further foster this project we put in place, Reach for Fijian Made, Fijian handicraft, Fijian made by Fijian. So you are very much part and parcel of that. Please do not think just because you come from Ba that you're a small town, you don't make a difference, or because you come from a small family, or you have a mother of 3, 4, 5 children, it doesn't make a difference. It makes a hell of a lot of difference, enormous difference. What is really critical in all of this is that our quality must always be consistent. Do you remember a few years ago when all these European countries were buying our kava? And there's a huge sale of kava. But some people got greedy. They started putting the stamps and put all the rubbish inside it so they get more weight and they can get more money. So what led to it is the quality of our products went down. So we need to have quality, we need to have quality control on our products. So whatever you make, whatever handicraft you make it with a love and affection, make sure that it's good quality, you'll always get good pricing for it. And indeed, we can also negotiate on your behalf with many of the private sector companies to ensure that you get good pricing for it. So I was very interested when I heard the administrator say that he'll have the label of Bar Made. We don't have such a certification process, but maybe we can talk about having Fijian made and in brackets made in Ba or something, as you have with your Maggi noodles and twisties. So thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for your participation. Congratulations to you. You've achieved a wonderful phase in your life. And I'd like to thank also your very, very robust and energetic president, who is always knocking on people's doors, and I'd like to thank her for her enthusiasm. I think we should all put our hands together for her. And of course, your mother, Marie, as was highlighted, please, for her. And the administrator. Although he is from Ba, he's in Lautoka and Tabua. And everybody else that's worked together with you, including Mr. Nair, and all of you, I think deserve a wonderful congratulations, and thank you very much for your contribution to the Fijian economy. Let me just tell you one thing. There's a lot of negativity being put out by the politicians. I can tell you there's a lot of positive things happening. A lot of positive things happening, economically, socially, and I can tell you there'll be a lot more positive things happening if the right things happen on September the 17th. Thank you very much.
Armila Prasad. Kinisimere Mboai. Rosalini Taufa Ratoto.